Hey guys, Nova here. I wanted to do a little bit of a talky kind of Halloween-y kind of video because first off, I love Halloween, I always have, and then I wanted to make a new profile picture and I recorded the process, so I figured, why not? I'll ramble about Halloween some and put this up. And I'm really proud of how this picture came out, actually. With everything and how it turned out and just the way it looks, it's my profile picture on literally everything now. So I've been having a blast with that. And I don't really usually do the softer shading. That actually just kind of hit me spur of the moment to play around with whenever I was doing the jack-o'-lantern and started doing the shading on the jack-o'-lantern. Because I was just like, let's try this. And it just kind of stuck, and the next thing I know, I'm messing with this thing for ages trying to get it just right. But the end result definitely is something that I really like, so it was definitely worth it. And I had a lot of fun doing this, especially because I drew my little Nova persona dressed up as a vampire. There is some significance to that. I will get to that in a bit because it kind of goes with me. But I've always been such a Halloween nut. I'm a holiday nut in general. I always have been. After Halloween, I always wait until the day after Thanksgiving. But the day after Thanksgiving, I give myself license to go Christmas crazy. But until then, until the end of October, from September? Apparently I can't speak. But from September until the end of October, I go Halloween crazy. And then November, it shifts to just fall crazy until Thanksgiving. Then after Thanksgiving, I go Christmas crazy. But admittedly, fall is my favorite season, hands down. I'm an aesthetic hoe for fall. I just am. I can't help it. It's just, that's who I am. And I will never deny that, because I go nuts for, give me the pumpkin spice, give me the, they've got these caramel apple butter things, coffee things at Sheetz right now, and those are probably horrible for me, but they're currently my favorite thing in the world. So, but I love the way that autumn looks, especially around here. We have so many trees and mountains, and it's beautiful in the fall. It looks like something out of some kind of beautiful, picturesque painting or something like that. It's so pretty, and I've always loved it. I could never live in a big city or somewhere completely flat. You take me away from the mountains and the trees, and I'm just probably going to run away. With that, I've always loved fall. I've always been a nature nut. I love the way everything smells in fall. I love spooky stuff. I've always been a big nut for mysteries, and I love the scary stories to tell in the dark books. I remember sneaking and reading them when I was in 4th grade because of my overactive imagination. Let me start with this. I have a very overactive imagination. As such, things like that, a lot of times, I wasn't allowed to read because it would give me nightmares. Like, I wasn't allowed to watch Are You Afraid of the Dark? Watched it anyway. I wasn't really supposed to watch Goosebumps. Oh gosh, I'll have to tell the werewolf story later. It's not going to be in this video. That'll have to be a different one, but it's hilarious. But I wasn't really supposed to watch Goosebumps because it would give me nightmares. When we watched Hocus Pocus as kids, we would see the way some of the smoke looked we lived in more of a slightly more urban for the state we live in, but not really urban kind of place. And you would sometimes see, the tendrils of smoke, and it would look purple, so we were convinced after watching Hocus Pocus that the witches were gonna come get us. So that was fun. But I have such an overactive imagination, so a lot of spooky stuff I wasn't supposed to read or watch. So instead, I would check them out from the school library and hide them under my pillow to read. I'll have to get into just how book obsessed I was in a different video, because I could go on and on about that. But for us, there's so much nostalgia too in with it, because running around jumping in the leaves and raking the leaves and rolling down the hill into the leaves, and playing with our cousins and all that, just having fun, going trick-or-treating, making little construction paper decorations where we would use an entire pack of construction paper between me and my sister to put up on the sliding glass door as decorations that we would cut out, and little ghost decorations that would be hanging from the tree outside, and just, I think they were made out of like the same material as trash bags, but they were fun. We made a scarecrow, and I think a lot of it for me, at least a good portion of it, was being able to dress up and all that was a blast, because it gave me kind of an excuse to, have a costume in the house and I could dress up and play pretend. And those costumes got use well after Halloween. There was a particular Bugs Bunny costume that got a little bit too much use before Halloween, and I ended up not being Bugs Bunny for Halloween that year because the costume tore because I had a bit too much fun. But on the note of costumes, the significance of my little persona here being a vampire 90% of my time as a kid, 90% of Halloween, I was either a vampire or a cat. One year I was a vampire cat, because I could be. That may have been the year the Bugs Bunny costume got tore and I had to pick a costume last minute, and we still had my vampire cape left over and I had a little tail and a mask. So because I'm just one of those people, I'm just an odd child, so I did that. And then there was one year where I wasn't going to be a vampire. I don't remember why, but I think I wasn't supposed to be a vampire or a cat that year because I think everybody was just like, would you pick something else, please? Because I was that literally every year. So instead, I kept with the more spooky theme that vampire has, but rather than I wasn't a vampire or a cat, so I exploited that loophole. I got one of those costumes that had like the face, it wasn't the Scream mask, but it was very similar, but it had like the eyes that were blacked out so you could see out, but nobody could see your eyes. It had like the big black robe, but the front of it was like open, and it had this plastic panel in front that had like ribs and all that, and it was a plastic panel that had like clear over it, and it had this pump that went down the sleeve, and you squeezed this little heart-shaped pump at the end of it and made like fake blood torrentially pour down the ribs. And so since I couldn't be a vampire or a cat, I picked something still very macabre. Needless to say, I went back to the vampire or cat thing the following year. And I trick-or-treated a lot longer than most kids do. I trick-or-treated, I think, up until my junior year of high school. I'm short, it was easier to get away with it. And not only that, around here, at least back then, people didn't care as much if older kids went trick-or-treating, which I might go on a rant later about the whole, if you're over such and such age, even if you're still a minor, you can't trick-or-treat, because I feel like people go a little bit stupid with that, but I'll share my views on that later. Not right now, let's not go on yet another tangent. But we always had so much fun with trick-or-treating. We would run around like crazy, especially with our cousins, and I've got a big family. I've got a lot of cousins. We would have so much fun, and fortunately we had enough adults to keep an eye on all the kids. Otherwise we'd have been in trouble, especially because we had I hit my own headphones, such a wide age range. But we had just so much fun running around. And then one of my favorite things, and I thought it was hilarious because it happened every year without fail, we always went trick-or-treating in the same area every year. And without fail, at the same house on the way back every year, there was this hole in one of the yards. My sister would step in it, and down she went, which I thought was hilarious. Of course, because, it's my sister, so long as I know she's not hurt, I am probably going to laugh. But she would twist her ankle and fall every single year without fail. I'd always make sure she was okay first before I laughed, but it was just one of those things. It was like, you're how old now? How many times have you done this and you're still gonna, you forget it's there every year? Okay. Which I'm pretty sure it's just, excited, running to the house, and just your foot goes in the hole, and down you go. Which was a bit more fortunate than it could have been, because the area we live, a lot of hills and mountains and whatnot. I think it was on a hill. She could have gone down the hill instead of just down on the ground. And then on top of that, one thing we always thought was funny was our little brother, he would always be ready to go home from trick-or-treating after like 15 minutes, and we're like, no, keep going, because free candy. And it would end up with Damien lagging behind, and us just running ahead really quick as we could. And it was just so funny because you'd have us having to urge him forward while he was just lagging behind. He wasn't concerned with catching up, which admittedly he wasn't concerned with catching up, and we weren't concerned with waiting, and so I'll be honest with you on that one. And my train of thought went away again. It does that frequently. I don't have a train of thought, I have a trampoline of thought, so But I love trick-or-treating. It was one of my favorite things, especially because, as a kid, you get free candy. It's just so built up because you get to go outside after dark, and that's usually not a thing that you really get to do, at least not around here. Dark was when you had to come in. So it was after dark. It's spooky. It's creepy. It's dark, and you get to carry around a flashlight and be dressed up in costume and get free candy. Trick-or-treating was just a blast from start to finish for us. So I think my first actual little date, quote unquote, I was in 8th grade, was my boyfriend at the time actually came trick-or-treating with us. And I know that's a silly thing to do for a date, especially in like 8th grade, but I had fun, and I was a weird kid, so it's not like I got invited to parties and I wasn't gonna miss out on free candy, and I got to hang out with my boyfriend, so why not? But I think I'm getting to the point where I've rambled on a little bit longer than I really meant to, but I just figured I'd do this little talky video, get myself more accustomed to chit-chatting again, maybe gradually learn to slow down my speech a little bit so that I'm not, talking super duper fast or anything like that, because I'm really bad about that. I do think next week's video I might go into one of my own personal spooky experiences, if there's any interest in that, because I think that would be fun. I'll do another little spooky Halloween type pic with it, and if anybody wants, I'll structure it and write it out to read it as a story, like it's written like a story, rather than just telling it all laid back like this. From now on though, I think I'm gonna script. And then I think after that, the one right at Halloween, if I can, I might do a creepypasta reading and draw a picture to go along with it, or at least a similar picture, something like that. I think that'd be a lot of fun to do. Just play around, be spooky, especially right before Halloween, especially since I'm off this year on Halloween, thank goodness, so that's fun. Ooh, maybe spooky live stream, that could be fun. But I definitely want to see about maybe doing a creepypasta with a video with it. Of course it's going to be a video. Nova, dumb. But I think I'm going to play around with maybe doing, a spooky picture that'll go with the audio. And then next week's, I'll try and do my own little spooky experiences. I've got a few to pick from, and I think I could have a good amount of fun with that. I definitely think it's something that I would enjoy doing. But for now, let me know what you thought. I know this was very non-structured, so don't be surprised if I'm well aware of that. But let me know what you thought about it, and let me know what you thought of the picture and how it turned out. And I will see you next time. Bye!